Hey guys, hope everyone's having a good day and is ready for another video in the series we like to call Underrated Throwers. Today we got Róbert Fazekas, a Hungarian discus thrower, former 2004 Olympic champion, former world championship medalist. I think in 2003, I think he got silver or bronze, I forget. And I say former because he tested positive for drugs in 2004. And served a pretty substantial ban. I think came back in 2008. This is him, and I think 2000. I forget when this Europeans was. I think it was either 2010. I think it was 2010. And I think this is Barcelona. I forget. This is a little later in his career. But yeah, he served, I'm pretty sure, I know at least one. He might have served two bans. I know for sure he definitely got one after 2004, which is why Virgilijus Alekna got the gold medal and the Olympic record, because originally Róbert Fazekas threw over 70 meters in 2004 Olympics in Athens, and had the Olympic record for like a week or so, probably. I forget. I don't know the exact date that he tested positive and stuff, but yeah, so it was pretty much right after. As a lot of Hungarians, Adrian Anos famously as well. And the reason I'm doing a video on him is, one, because as a first for me, and it was actually pretty exciting, someone in the comment section of one of my very first videos, Zoltan Kavago, in this series, on Zoltan Kavago, I think it was either like my second or third video in this series, very, very long time ago, actually commented and requested I do a video on Róbert Fazekas. And I thought, well, why not? Actually, I also didn't realize I actually didn't do a video on him. I thought I had, or I had planned it, but I guess I never did it. But here you go. Here's my analysis on him. So this is later in his career. He's a little older. Technique's pretty much the same, though. He just doesn't have that same fire in him. Well, okay, sorry. I shouldn't say fire. The same, explosiveness as, a young, doped up thrower. Even though, I don't know, he's probably still on dope here. But, whatever. Who cares? We're here to just focus on his technique and appreciate him because, they didn't take away his mark. He's a 71 meter thrower, now that I remember, actually. He actually is one of the furthest throws ever, which they didn't actually, I don't know if they took everything away from him. I'll list everything that they took away and that he still has in terms of his accomplishments, his height and weight, and his personal best in the video description. He was also a 70-plus meter hammer thrower as well. Obviously, growing up in Hungary, they pump out hammer throwers like it's nothing. So it's kind of comes with the territory that if you're Hungarian, you're probably going to be a pretty good hammer thrower. He just happened to be a lot better at discus, in my opinion. Even though, throwing over 70 meters in hammers, definitely not bad, especially if it's your secondary event. But yeah, but he's more known for a discus thrower. But yeah, so let's see. Let's go back to the video. Oh, sorry, I didn't even say why he's underrated. I think he's underrated because a lot of people just kind of threw him under the rug. Because he just he tested positive and stuff, so they kind of just oh, okay, so that's why he threw far. I don't think that's why he threw far. I think that's a big reason why he threw far, because as you're going to see in this video, his technique isn't the best. He's one of the four front runners in my definition of, if you're strong, athletic, and fast enough, you don't have to have the best technique in the world, but you have to have some things going for you. For me, if I just took a bunch of steroids and stuff, I could not throw 71 meters in discus. Hell no. There's no way. Because I don't have the genetics nor the athletic capabilities to even do that. So, you know, you first have to have class genetics to do that, and like supreme training, right circumstances, and all that, and like a good coaching staff, actually a phenomenal coaching staff, and you just have to be in the right situation. The drugs help, but it's not everything. You know, like, I can't just pull some random person off the street, give them like a whole bunch of stanozolol or whatever, and then just have them throw 70 meters in like a year or two. It does not work like that. All right, you have to still train, work your butt off, and do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not saying that the steroids don't do anything. They certainly help quite a bit. But I think people just underestimate and just think like, oh, like if you just take stuff, you just automatically become a world-class athlete, which is just as far from the truth as possible. So, yeah. Just keep that in mind. But I will say, his technique isn't like the best, but he does stuff well. He does stuff good enough to throw far, obviously. Like it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen in the world, but for like a 71-meter thrower, there's certainly been people that have better technique than him. And also, before we go to his technique, another reason why he's underrated is because he served those bans and whatnot. He never really got a lot of time to actually throw in the professional circuit and stuff, simply because, you know, he just served bans. So, you know, he didn't get an opportunity really to showcase a lot of stuff. So, like 2004, like 2003 was like his prime, and, you know, he got put on ban right after that. I think it was like a 2-year ban, because I know he competed in the 2008 Olympics. So, you know, whatever. So I don't think a lot of people actually got to see him actually throw, especially younger people. Probably don't even know who Róbert Fazekas even is. But yeah, I think he's just underrated. And I know I said last thing. This is the last thing. As you can tell, he is probably one of the most underrated, like, strong discus throwers ever. Like, he is so strong, like not an ounce of fat. That is just all muscle right there. And even though like he looks small, he makes up like his power to rate. Like I remember seeing stories and stuff of like the Olympic lifting that he would do, like the numbers he would put up for his size is insane. And you're gonna see, like, even when he's older here, his speed and his power through the ring is insane. He is definitely like top 5 like fastest throwers ever, in my opinion, for discus. So, and you're gonna see right here. So let's just play this a couple times. And again, the video doesn't do this justice about how fast it is. But even on video, I mean, the frames can't even keep up with him. So, and the reason I'm choosing this video instead of like his Olympic video, which is probably what people know him more from, is one, I don't want to get in trouble with the Olympic thing, because, you know, if you post Olympic videos and stuff and you're not the Olympic channel, they take your video down immediately. And second, this is also a higher quality video than 2003. So I was going to do the Paris one, but I figured you guys would appreciate a little more of a high quality video. So even though I think this was like 67, 66 meters or something, I mean, it's not a bad throw, but it still showcases a lot of the stuff that he does in his throw. His technique didn't really change that much in his throw. So, but yeah, I think he does a lot of interesting stuff. Some stuff I don't agree with, like at all, but I think he's actually kind of a pioneer in some stuff. So let's get to this. So, as we've already stated, incredibly fast, all right, and incredibly strong. So those two attributes right there help a lot in throwing far. You gotta be fast and you gotta be strong. Newsflash. I mean, there's no, like, I can't name a 70-meter thrower who's not fast and strong. Like, you can't throw slow and like, you can't be slow through the ring, and you can't not be strong and throw 70 meters. It's impossible. All right. So because you just got to have that. Unless someone does it, unless I'm not remembering someone. But I guess you could make an argument that Daniel Stahl isn't fast, but he's also like 6'5" and has like a 7-foot wingspan, and is just massive, and his release is one of the fastest ever. So, there you go. And, he's obviously strong. There's videos of him deadlifting like 360 kilos for like 7, and it looks like nothing. But yeah. So let's get to this. So, let me back this up a little. So right here, this is his first attempt. That doesn't really matter. A very, I would say iconic wind. Like, nobody really winds like him. Let me see. Okay, so it doesn't, yeah. He does this whole sequence, every throw. It's kind of like the Peter Malachowski wind. Like, I could just show you a silhouette of Peter Malachowski or Robert Fazekas, and immediately it's them winding. Like, their whole sequence is just very iconic to me. Because nobody does it. No, everyone looks different, but, like, these guys look so different. When they wind. So it's very individualized. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying, it's them. It's what they do. It's what they need to do to establish with rhythm and whatever you need to do to throw far. Once you hit 70 plus meters in the discus throw, I can't really say much about your technique because obviously it works for you. So, who am I to judge? But okay, so he gets here, switches hands, and then he does this whole sequence where he's here, and he does this step, which I've never really thought much about. I thought that was just some quirky thing, because I've watched Robert Fazekas for many, many years, since like high school. Until like I've been seeing like the Krauser slide and like the Matthew Denny like step in and stuff, and like all the quirky stuff that, like people do, like pros do nowadays. He's really one of the first ones I've seen like do like a step, especially during this time. A lot of people were just stagnant here, just wound and through. He has a very, very dynamic start. I don't know why he does this. But my assumption, and this could just be the wrongest thing ever, and just be totally off base because I don't know Robert Fazekas. I don't know any of his coaches. I don't know anything really about like his actual training and whatnot. But based on my professional assumption, he does this. Oh, that's the wrong way. Okay, he does this step in I could theorize for a couple reasons. One, he could do it simply just because it just feels good and it just feels fluid. And, fair enough. Who cares? As long as, he's obviously consistent in where he's stepping. So, yeah, that could be one theory. The other theory, which I think maybe why he does this, is to basically get a hard wind. Because he winds really fast. And I think it's to feel this separation in between his hips and his knees. And basically to bring momentum. Now, what I would say is I like the thing that Matthew Denny does more, where like he starts a little bit back with it would be his right foot, and then he steps in to bring his hips more under him, and to create a bigger stretch as he winds back. But I don't know if this really does the same thing. I could see it doing the same thing. I've never tried it. But he could just be doing this for so many reasons. Or it's just a quirk that he does, and because he threw far, his coaches just never really corrected it. Kind of like Adam Nelson with his left leg from middle to front. The old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Especially when you get people like that just throw like exceptionally far, who really gives a rip what they really do, as long as they can hit positions correctly. So he's here, boom, winds. I don't like that he doesn't have any weight over his left foot, and all the weight is on his right foot, which I think stems from the step in. So it's not something I would personally coach. I actually wouldn't really coach a lot of people to throw like Róbert Fazekas. I don't think he's a very good technical model, unless I got an absolute powerhouse of an athlete. But even then, I'd still kind of coach him to do positions correctly. Not saying that Fazekas doesn't, but yeah, we'll see. You'll see when we really break it down, because I bet when I just played it regular motion, the throw, probably couldn't see that much just because he was just moving so fast. But I do like his upper body here. So really nice level wind. Wind super far back. He actually has great mobility for how muscular he is. So he gets here. And then he starts turning. This is very odd. So first of all, things I like. I really like what his right side does. I really like that his right foot just stays planted forever. And that he gets this really nice separation with his hips. So his hips are really wide. I like that this right knee comes forward as his left knee is turning. I really like that. I like that he keeps the discus behind him. I like that he has a really, really nice orbit. Things I don't like. His left side. So if you notice, so all the weight's on his right. All right. So when he gets here, he kind of dips down to put a little bit more weight over his left hip, but his foot is over here and his hip is over here. So there isn't really that much weight going on his left foot. A lot is going on his right foot. So he does, so let me back this up. So he dips down a little with that left knee and then turns, but he's turning on the very, very, very inside of the foot, almost the inside side of his foot. So he's not even on the ball of his foot, and he kind of just slams it down, and then now he's on the left foot. All right. So it's not the most efficient way. Like, he doesn't get a lot of rotational speed. Well, he does, but it's not like the most efficient thing. He does it with his hips and not his feet. And that's going to be a theme throughout his throw. He doesn't really push against the ground very much throughout his entire throw. He relies heavily on his speed and out the back and just his athletic prowess. But he doesn't really generate much force from the ground, where I think he should. Now, obviously, he does when he gets here. So I really like this wide sweep, and I like how fluid he is. So this position is great. How he gets there is not great. So he eventually does have weight on the ball of his foot, and he's really, really over his left. And so right here, his chest is a little down. Doesn't really matter. As your chest can be down, up. You just have to be careful that the legs and the upper body are separated. And what I mean is, if your chest is down, you got to make sure you don't dive down with your legs. You still got to get some air time, but you got to make sure if your chest is up, that you don't just jump straight up in the air, because you still need the linear energy. All right. So he's here, holds his chest extremely well. He's actually really, really good at doing this. And what I mean by holding his chest to sector and letting the right sweep leg get ahead of his upper body and creating a whole bunch of torque. So he gets here, and like, he is just fast. Like, he spends no time on his left foot. The second his right foot gets here, he's off the ground. And then when his right foot grounds, his left foot is basically almost about to be done and be on the ground. So insane speed. So his middle to front is like no time at all. So he doesn't spend even though he's kind of high, because he's just so fast and so powerful, he gets grounded pretty instantly. So he's here. I would personally like this right foot to be facing this way. So the right toe is pointed that way instead of that way, because I think he'll land better stacked and with his hip more under him. So as you can see, so let me get straighter lines. So his head is here, but his feet are here. So normally I like the shoulder and the head and everything to be over this right foot. More so maybe the shoulder. But the disconnect here is a little But then again, because he's just so fast, it doesn't even matter, honestly. So he gets here. As you can see, his right foot didn't really turn at all. Now it's facing this way instead of that way, so it turned a little, but then he just doesn't really work the ground, and he just kind of just boom, just gets into the throw immediately. So it's a very momentum-based throw, I would say. So he doesn't really stay grounded at all really throughout the entire throw, and relies heavily on speed, which normally I would say you can't get away with a 2K or like a 16-pound shot. However, if you are as athletic and such a powerhouse as Róbert Fazekas, yes, you can throw far like that. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it takes a special athlete. Would he throw further, working the ground and kind of throwing like a Daniel Stahl or something? I would honestly argue no, he wouldn't, because that would slow him down, and he chose a technique and a style that really plays to his strengths. And I think that's really important. Like, not everyone can throw like this. Not everyone can throw like Daniel Stahl. Like, not everyone can throw like Gerd Kanter. You have to find a style that works for you. And, though I myself consider myself a very technical style coach and thrower, that's because I am not athletic at all, really, and stuff. And the athletes I usually get aren't like the most supreme athletes in the world, or they're pretty like new to the sport still. So even if they are super athletic, they don't know how to use their athleticism in the throw quite yet. So, but however, if I did get a thrower if I had the privilege of coaching like a 70-meter plus thrower that had the attributes like Róbert Fazekas, honestly, the technique wouldn't look much different than how he throws, to be quite honest. Because if you can get away with throwing like this, go ahead, shoot. Who am I to say? Like could he throw further? I guess we'll never know. But I mean, like if he stayed grounded, if he changed his wind a little, if he was a little more efficient through the throw, if he landed a little more stacked with his right foot. Not he's stacked, but not as stacked as he could be. But I mean, yeah, could he throw further with a higher, a more exaggerated orbit? Who knows? Whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm not his coach. He threw far doing this, so whatever, And who knows? Maybe he actually tried throwing a different style. It just didn't work. I don't know his training. So you just have to find a style that works for you. This clearly works for him. And there have been other throwers that have thrown like this. Like a Anthony Washington and stuff. Not exactly like this, but the same principles. So, and, he's a 71-meter thrower as well. So, whatever works, I guess. But yeah, so he gets here, so his left foot's down there. So he catches it deep. Yes, if I was coaching him, I would like his arms to be a little more level. That's not level. Like that. So he could work around more. But he works fine around. He still gets this classic position here. I do think he's off the ground way too early in terms of his block leg. So as you can see, he's turning his right hip really hard. But he's not actually working the ground. And I would consider this type of block to be more I would equate it, instead of a push press, to a push jerk. Where it's just a short sudden movement instead of just staying grounded and just really grinding out the push press. He just lands and gets into it immediately. So I would equate it to that. So yeah, that's That's what I equate it to. So it's this type of block only works if you are just moving at an extraordinary speed. Because your right side is just moving so fast that your left block doesn't have to be as strong, simply just because the throw just happens so much faster. And honestly, if he had a longer block, it would just slow him down, to be quite honest. So, in my opinion, at least. So, the whole point of this style is to just move as fast as possible, hit reasonable positions, and just hit the crap out of a finish and have a good release. But it's important if you're doing this style, which not a lot of people can, that you still like practice slow, have good foundations in your technique, and actually release it. Because it does no good to move this fast if you just like throw it straight up into the air, or like or you just hit the cage every time, you just yank on the finish. So like he still has good fundamentals. He still has a really nice release. I know I stopped the recording on the release, but he actually usually has really, really beautiful releases. So, and you can tell when you have a good release in discus because, one, the way it flies, if there's no wobble or very minimal wobble, that's generally a good release. If you're right-handed, it releases like this so that it will eventually turn over and be more level like this. And if there's a lot of spin on the discus. So if you throw a discus, and I'm sure any discus thrower who's thrown like okay would know this. If your discus is just kind of just flying, but it just looks kind of like dead, like some is like hovering, that's not good. But if you see a discus and you see like a little bit of like a wobble, just a little tiny bit, but like you can tell it's like spinning really hard, that's good. Because when you like go to like buy a discus set and you see like the rim weight on a discus, that's the rim weight. And like, so say you have like an 80% rim weight discus, the rim weights and stuff only matter if you can spin a discus really fast. And the faster you can spin a discus, the higher rim weight you can do. And the higher rim weight means that if you able to actually spin it fast enough and hard enough, it will theoretically go further, because the more spins and the more revolutions that the discus does through the air, the more power it has through the air, and the further it will go because it has more energy in it. All right, so, but you have to have a good release to do that, to even think. So like beginners, don't even worry about rim weight, honestly. Just throw like a center weight discus, because honestly, if you don't throw far and you throw like a 85% plus rim weight, you're not going to throw far with it. You have to be able to use a rim weight like that. To actually take advantage, you have to actually be like good enough to actually throw it. And really rim weights only apply really to 2K discs. 1.6s and 1Ks, and maybe to a certain extent 175s don't really like matter, just because they don't weigh enough. Especially 1K discs, rim weight doesn't really matter at all, because they just weigh so little that you can throw a center weighted like discus, a woman's disc, and woman can just crank the living crap out of a 1K. So like, it doesn't really matter. They all basically kind of just spin the same, for a certain extent. So, but I mean, like, obviously, like when you get like a higher, like a good quality discus, there's like certain balance points. Some are made for headwinds, some are made for tailwinds, some are made for no winds, and a whole bunch of stuff. This is not the video for that. There are videos out there explaining like rim weights and stuff. I don't even know how I got on this tangent talking about Róbert Fazekas. But yeah, this is not the time. If you would like me to make a video on rim weight like the different rim weights and like when you should upgrade discs and like all that kind of stuff, I can, just comment in the comment section and stuff if you want me to make a video like that. But anyway, so he gets here. So let's get back to Róbert Fazekas, because I just realized this is a 30-minute video already. Sorry, I I do apologize for ranting so much, but let's try and stay on track. So he's here. Boom, really nice reverse. Just stays in. Oh, okay. He stayed in. I know that because, you know, this video, not the whole comp, but, you know, like I think Robert Harding, no, actually no, this is 2010, yeah, because this is European Championships, and famously, Peter Malachowski actually beat Robert Harding. I think probably like the only time in his career, because this is the year right after 2009, and Malachowski threw like 69 meters, and Robert Harding threw like high 68s, I think, and he was leading the whole competition really, and then Róbert Fazekas got bronze in this, so yeah, now I remember, this is 2010, I think, in Barcelona, yeah, hope you guys liked the video. Let me know if you have any questions or any other throwers. Ooh, sorry. Excuse me. That you would like me to analyze and stuff. But yeah. See y'all later, and thanks for watching.